24 is what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into all that, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all those fun things. And I got my timer going to make sure I don't talk too long with this, because to be honest with you, it's hard to give specific advice to a general audience. So I'm going to give you an overview of the basic foundation principles of buying a house in our 6-step professional process we follow here at Team Home Hero. And then I'm going to go over 3 advanced elite strategies that we're going to use to really win in 2024. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen and just get into it right away. All right, so this is my website, which.homehero.com, just to give you reference for researching options and service levels. You can always reference back to this if you need to look at this again, want to research in detail, get to know Wichita, get to know the processes and the knowledge around it, and then what we provide here at Team Home Hero as a differentiator on everything. But first, you're going to go into this buy build section. How do I buy a home? So we're going to get to that point. And this is the foundation. I don't want to call it the basics, because that kind of leads you to believe that it's elementary or entry level or it gets skipped over. But the thing is, if you haven't bought a house in a while, we really need to revisit this so you really know how it really works, not just what your friends say, popular opinion, the headlines, everything else. This is me and my partner, Rico. We're both a production unit here at Team Home Hero, focused on transactions and not just being a removed team lead. We're more of a production team than just a marketing and recruiting team like most are set up. So this is your foundational 6-step process. First one is you really want to look at your finances, and it's important to get pre-qualified, pre-approved before you start looking at houses, before you start looking at all that. Assess where you want your financial relationship to be with houses, as far as what monthly payment do you want to be at, what loan product can we get. It doesn't hurt to get pre-qualified. It doesn't hurt your credit score. And really, it's kind of foolish to be looking at houses if we are not actually approved and able to do this. And really, it's kind of mean too, to be honest with you. So first step is financing. And honestly, this is the process we follow whenever we give service to people, whether looking to relocate to the area, buy a home in the area, or look to sell to buy type of a situation. Is we follow this process with everyone. Even with the advanced elite strategies, it's got to be built on a solid foundation like what you're seeing here. So the first one is we got to be on the same page financially. What are you capable of? Where do you want to be? And everything that goes around that. That comes with it. And keep in mind, this is all private, confidential financial information. It's not discussed with anybody outside of our agency relationship. So you have that confidentiality, that anything you tell me or we go over here, you're going to have a safe space to discuss that and it won't get linked out anywhere. So financing is the first step. Next piece is we go through a consult and tour homes. We like to call those game plans, just to get on the same page of what you're looking for, when you're looking, and the process we go through from there, like why you're looking, what lifestyle you're trying to achieve, what timeline, what price point, what size of home, what location. And from there, that's where we'll start setting up property alerts with you, both online, and then we're going to view them in person or over video call, depends on what you need to go there. And throughout that process, we're going to figure out a lot of what you do or don't want when it comes to finding a home, buying a home. And honestly, a lot of it is done digitally, online, before we ever go see the house in person. When we go to see them in person, a lot of times we're going to offer on them and evaluate, is there anything I can't see online already that I don't like, that I can kind of evaluate and be like, no, we don't need to see that one. It's in the wrong location, wrong size, wrong price, doesn't have enough garage spaces, whatever comes with that. Anymore, you don't really need to go drive around to a bunch of houses to really find out if you want to buy it or not. With everything, it's a lot more of a digital service, which is what we really provide well here between me and Rico, to have the coverage and the ability to get you what you're needing. But when it comes time to actually write offers and put in offers, this is where it can start to get more advanced and elite. And we'll get into that next strategy on the next round of slides of everything I've going on there. But when it does come time to offer, we'll call the listing agent and we'll ask them, like, how many offers do you have? When's the deadline? What's most important to you? And the seller, when it comes to writing this offer, to be aware of. So we're going to dig as much information as we can out of the listing agent, just to help you decide what you want to offer on the house. When it comes to that offer, we have to fully write up contract, write up agency, do all the paperwork to actually fully submit an offer, where we got to have the pre-qualification letter done, the terms of the offer, the price, and everything that goes into it. And so that's kind of the basic foundational piece of writing an offer of everything. You're going to have earnest money if you do get it accepted at that point. And just to know, from offer and contract to close is about 30 to 45 days for you to plan for on everything. If you've never done this before, or it's been a while, that kind of gives you an idea of the timeline. Sometimes we can move it faster, like 3 to 4 business weeks, but typically about the 30 days is what you're going to need and they're going to need for planning consideration, all the moving parts that go on within this transaction. Then the next step after that will be submitting earnest money, which is typically about 1% of purchase price in our area. And then step 2 is scheduling out the inspector to come through and to test everything. Because my construction background helps us evaluate how solid is the foundation, the roof, the major mechanicals, all those things from a visual perspective, but I can't test anything because I have a conflict of interest as a party to the transaction. We have to have a third party come in that's neutral and evaluates it all from a professional expert opinion. So when they do that inspection, they're going to test everything, walk on the roof, look for hail, go into the crawl space, look for structural problems, everything that comes with it there. And then from there, 3 things can happen. We either can negotiate money off, ask them to fix the things, or potentially walk away from the deal. So that kind of gives you an idea of how that inspection negotiation situation can go, and where my construction background comes in, and working out a agreeable situation, not just trying to be a bully, which is what a lot of people think negotiating is. It's not bullying, it's not compromising. Negotiating is figuring out a win-win situation for both sides. And then step 5, appraisal and underwriting. This can be some of the most painful part to go through, that you have to go through, that the banks, the lenders, the mortgage brokers, everybody requires you to go through. And an appraisal is what the lender will give you for the house, not a determination of what the house is worth. Whatever buyer and seller agree to pay for the house is what the house is worth. That's what a free market looks like. An appraisal is for the bank to decide how much they'll lend to you, because we've been seeing people pay above appraisal with additional cash. And that's a more common thing going on now, that just because you had an agreed price and the appraisal come in low doesn't mean the seller has to adjust down. We've been seeing more buyers bringing cash to meet the agreed price that the buyer agreed to pay for that. And that's how a market appreciates, how houses go up in value and everything that goes with that. But then the most painful part, if you haven't been through this recently, is underwriting. Underwriting is tightening up across the board, even though there's more loans going on than ever. The underwriting process, they're becoming more and more strict, more and more stringent on this, to really evaluate and scrutinize who gets a loan and who doesn't, so that we don't have 08 happen again. And to give you some perspective, in 2023, we had less number of home sales than we did in 2008, but the market didn't crash. So that's a good sign of a strong financial process now that we didn't have before, that it's good that you're getting scrutinized and everyone's getting scrutinized through underwriting, saying, is this legit? Is this legitimate? Do you have any outstanding judgments or liens or things against you, so that you actually can qualify for this loan and pay for it, not just ramming you through the system like they were before and crashing the economy. So that's where that hasn't happened, and why that's such a painful process. It's a good thing. It sucks to go through. I'm just giving you a heads up that that's how it's going to go, and we're going to help you through the process. Having a really good local mortgage broker and lender is a key part of that whole thing, that knows the ins and outs here locally. And it's not entirely our area, but we're somewhat involved and aware as a real estate agent, because really as a real estate agent, our job is to facilitate the transaction of the home. And we can't really get too far involved in the financial side, because that's between you and your lender, quite honestly. And it's not entirely our realm of expertise or licensure. So anyway, that's the appraisal and underwriting piece. And then closing day is when you put your down payment on everything, you get the keys, utilities in your name, and it's officially yours at that point. So this is the foundation that we're building everything off of, and it's the professional process we follow that we need you to be aware of and on the same page with, and not listening to just all your friends and family and experts and all these other things. Listen to the people who are actually doing this day in and day out, that you're going to be working with directly on this. So this is our 6-step professional process for you to understand and follow, and for us to understand and follow, so we're all on the same page, having a plan and a process. Depending on how in depth you want to go with this, there's all kinds of things you can check out. If you want to schedule a time to talk to me personally, you can do that too, just because it's really hard to give specific advice to a general audience on this, but this at least gives you an overview of the basics and the foundation. Let's get into the fun stuff, the nitty gritty of how we're going to win in 2024. So let me get into presenter mode. So these are the winning 2024 home purchase strategies we're going to be using. That's me with my goofy looking face and beard and backwards hat, because I think I'm cool sometimes, not all the time. But anyway, let's see. So first thing to get into, this is the 3 things we're going to go over: prepared plans, strategy set in place ahead of time so we can be fully present to offer and win when the right home hits the market. Number 2 is situational offer negotiation, appraisal gap coverages, as is offers, escalation clauses, sunset clauses, creative case-by-case strategy for winning offers. And number 3 is speed in relationships. Lightning fast responsiveness to the market, clients, agents, and vendors, combined with reputation and reliability, is how we're going to win in 2024. So before we get into all that, why listen to me? Like, I'm a local born and raised Wichitan, construction background, 8 years licensed, over 350 homes sold in the career so far, and 140 plus 5-star reviews. I don't put that out there to be a braggadocious, egotistical guy. I just want to show you legitimacy and credibility, because if you've never met me or you don't know me, you're kind of like, who is this guy? What's going on? Here's some of my track record, if you will. And how do you get the most out of this? So this is kind of a learning model. I use this when I give this presentation. I've been talking to people about this. It's one thing to just listen to me. You only receive 5%. You read it, you retain 10% audio visual. Hopefully this is helping you to get more, 20%, demonstrations 30%. But this is where it really starts to come into play, is when we start discussing it and we actually talk about this back and forth, which I'm big about as far as communicating and conversation. But then actually, as you actually start to get into it, you retain it even more as you start to practice it and exercise it. Then the only other way is be to teach others. So in some ways, the more I do this, the better I get at this, of teaching others. But this is how you're going to get the most out of all of this, is not just watching, not just listening, but doing on it all. So I want you to get the most out of this by doing all these things that come with this learning model. So first thing we're going to get into, prepared plans. So pre-qualified at least, pre-approved even better. That gets you all the way through that painful underwriting process like we we're discussing about. You as a buyer can go all the way through the underwriting process to know I'm not going to have any hiccups, any snags, anything that goes on with that. Like, I just got to find the property and it's just got to appraise and we got to get it through. Some ways you can get it through faster if you actually get a full pre-approval from your letter, turn in all of your documents, get it done ahead of time. If you know you're moving for sure, like, just go ahead and get all these things done up front ahead of time as much as possible. And it also makes you a much stronger buyer when you're pre-approved, not just pre-qualified on everything. Also, we got to have the funds set aside for down payment, closing costs, moving, etc., all the things that go on, because we deal with houses, but in a lot of ways we help you deal with your financial wealth of your house too. So we need to know, where do you have your funds situated, prepared to make this big move, whether that's in an account somewhere or it's in your house. Where is it that we need to be aware of and on the same page with you, so we can strategically move and make services and processes done on that's in alignment with your finances. We're not here to judge or to scorn you for your finances. We're here to help you position yourself when it comes to finances and real estate as best as possible. We take more of a side-by-side guide approach than necessarily telling you what to do or judging you or anything that goes with all that. So just know that that's how we set that, but we do have to have those discussions around money and around emotions that most people avoid and are taboo with all these things. There's no judgment, no looking down on you or anything like that. We just got to have this safe space where we can have an honest conversation about exactly the numbers and the nitty-gritty details that we're dealing with, so we can best serve you and help you to make decisions that you want to do, not anything we're going to force you to do, but we kind of need to know all the puzzles of what we're dealing with. So same thing what goes with that is, like, if we have a home to sell, that's evaluated with the list price, the projects are done that need to be completed. I'll do a walkthrough with you on the house to make sure that it's in pristine shape, or what's important, what's not important to you. We got a marketing plan and timeline in place, so that way, like, it's not something we just throw it on the market tomorrow and it sells. There's photos that need to be done. There's marketing campaigns that need to be made. There's print media that needs to go with your house. Launching a listing is the most important thing when it comes to actually getting a home sold well, especially if you need to buy the next one and your buy is contingent on the sale. We got to have all those plans and all that process in place, which is what I'm here for, to help you pull off as kind of your project manager to be successful with your real estate transaction. Also a marketing agent, sales agent, real estate agent, all of these things combined that go with all this. So a big piece of that too is you can never do this early enough. So get on my schedule, get on my calendar. Let's have a strategy session to discuss this. I'm not a hard seller. I'm not a hard pushy dude. I'm a service provider that gives you options, and you tell me where you want to go from there. And one of the biggest ones we can do here is get your property alerts set up, so you can not only study where you want to go next, but you're also studying the homes being sold, how they're listed, how they're marketed, how they're photoed, and what's available to purchase, so that you're becoming a student of the market. Not just a average consumer who's just kind of winging this based on emotions and feelings, and everything goes with that. I do take into account your emotions, your feelings, but we also got to look at the data and look at both of those things together to really have prepared plans, so that when the right house hits the market, You're not rushing around scrambling like crazy, like, oh my gosh, I got to see it last second, and then you lose the house of your dreams. Because that's really what I don't want you to have happen. Is it's real estate is a strategic plan process when it really goes well on everything. So prepared plans is the first advanced elite strategy we're going to have. As you just saw, as I just broke down with all that. The next one is situational offer negotiation, because in a lot of times in a competitive market, winning the house is the win. Getting the house is the win. And so when you look at all the people who got to buy over the last 3 to 5 years, even though they paid over asking price or did some different things to get a house, look how much appreciation they also got too. So one of the ways we do that is through an escalation clause, which says like, hey, I'll give you 250,000, but I will also pay up to, but not to exceed 265,000, and I will escalate my offer to beat any competing offer by $1,000. So that's an escalation clause, and then they got to show you the other contract too. There's a lot of other strategies to go with that. Doing as is offers is another piece of it, and this is where the construction background comes in. And there's a few different ways you can do as is offers. One of the most favorable ways I've seen them is buyer will accept the house as is, where is, as long as no major repair ticket item exceeds $2,500. So that way you can come through and still test and check major systems, but you're basically telling the seller ahead of time, I'm not going to come in here and be a mid-deal terrorist. I'm not going to come in here and nitpick you on little things. I'm a sure buyer. I want this house, but I do want to have some evaluations of the big ticket items that I don't think are going to come up, but I want that inspection for my peace of mind. There's also appraisal gap coverage, meaning like saying if it comes in low, we will cover the appraisal gap coverage. If the appraisal comes in at 170 and we agreed to pay 180, we're already saying ahead of time, we're going to cover the difference of that $10,000 in cash. So that's one way for appraisal gap coverages. There's also, you can write it up where it says like it won't exceed a cap of the appraisal gap coverage. Like we'll provide appraisal gap coverage like up to 25 grand, but it won't exceed 25 grand. If the appraisal comes in 30,000 low, then the seller's going to take $5,000 less. Also sale rent backs, late possession. That's where you can sell and close the home, but then let the seller live there for like a month or two while they find the next house or move out or whatever they need to do. You know, that's pretty common in a lot of other bigger states than us, but it is something that does happen around here in Wichita. And then anything specific to the seller, which you don't entirely know what's important to them until we talk to the listing agent and they discuss with us what's important to the seller. Because sometimes it might be they want a family that wants to be in the neighborhood in a certain way, and they can ask for that. You know, it's up to them who they want to sell their house to and what goes on there. We just personally have to be careful about our advertising and fair housing laws and discrimination things, but ultimately it's up to the seller, whatever the seller wants to do. So there's different things like that where the seller has specifics that we want to know about that we'll call the agent, we'll work the deal, we'll find out a situation, you know, if we need to work it, that's more specific to the seller. And then the third one, the last one, is just speed and relationships. Because ultimately at the end of the day, if we're too slow, time's of the essence, we screw around too much, time kills all deals, we won't get the deal. And then a big piece of it is what I've been working on diligently for the last 8 years is to have a solid reputation in my local market for being reliable and then being a no BS, just straightforward type of person. Like I'm fair and I'm honest, but I'm also strong and I negotiate well for my clients, both hard and soft on everything. Is that I'm warm and agreeable and I'll talk to you, but also with the tactical empathy, take into account your side of views, but at the same time, like I'm not a pushover. I'm not just going to give away your money or give away the house or just fold easily. So speed and relationships is the third one. That is very important, and it's an advanced elite thing as far as where your reputation's at. How many of these agents do you know? How much they like you? How much do you know them? And then being a reliable, straightforward person that has a solid buyer, solid reputation, solid things to go through. So that's the last one. So now the most important piece of this, don't just watch this thing. Don't just be impressed by it, entertained. What are you going to go apply from this? How? By when? How can I support you? And then can I hold you accountable to this action plan? You know, so this is where the coach in me is coming out. And this is a partnership. This is a symbiotic relationship that it's not just me doing a bunch of stuff for you. I need you to take action. I need you to do the things you need to do for us to be successful in this partnership, which is why we charge a percentage, is because we both have to be successful at this for us to get paid. So what are you going to apply from all this you just saw? Shoot it in the comments, send me a message. Please let me know how, by when, how can I support you in doing all of this? And can I hold you accountable to this action plan so we can get you what you want? So that's it. I'm done. Appreciate you watching. Here's all my fun stuff, my website, my Instagrams if you want to go, or my Facebook, my Instagram, my social, if you want to go stalk me, whether you're an agent, a client, whatever you want to do. YouTube's, you're already watching this one on Living Wichita. Also have a training one for modern agent options for agents. You can text me at this number, and then also my email address. So that's everything I got for how to buy a home in 2024. Hopefully that wasn't too long for you. Appreciate you watching. Check out any of my other videos on Wichita and buying a house and everything that comes with it. But hopefully we'll talk to you soon. See ya.